Hello everyone, my name is Chris Gibbons. I am the coordinator for the MHA program. I'm also the program's academic advisor and faculty member. And in this video, what I would like to do is highlight a tool for you. It's part of our Toolkit series in graduate studies. And the tool that we're going to highlight today is an APA template. Now, what does a tool do? A tool makes your job easier. And that's what the hope is, that we're going to introduce some things to you that make your job a little bit easier. Now, you can choose to use them or not, totally up to you. I encourage you to find whatever tools, whatever techniques, whatever systems there are, find those systems to make your job easier. Now, the tool that we're going to talk about today is an APA template, and that helps you to organize your process when you begin to write a paper. A lot of students have found this very beneficial in taking some of that APA mechanics out of it when they look to organizing and writing their paper. Now, a couple of disclosures I'm going to make before we do a walkthrough of the template. The first one is I make no claims whatsoever that this is 100% APA correct or APA compliant. I've done my best, okay? But know there's probably some errors in there somewhere, all right? So keep that in mind. The next disclosure is that, remember, your instructors may have specific requirements for an assignment that may not conform to this template. If you have any questions about an assignment, about the requirements for an assignment, please contact your instructor. All right, with that, let's go ahead and take a look at this tool because we do want you to make your work a little bit smarter rather than harder. All right, so let's jump in there and take a look at this template. Now, this template is really a baseline. And again, my hope is that you use this. If you choose, you use it as a baseline. You're going to tweak it. You're going to make it your own as you go through the program. There could be changes to APA. You're going to adapt the template as you go through. But I think here's a good place for you to start by using this template. Now, I'm going to give you some basics on how to use it too, so you'll kind of get the idea. All right, we're going to start with the running head. We're going to start at the very top of the paper on the first page. Now, notice I did not include an abstract in here. This template is really to fit most assignments found in the programs that I deal with. And I deal with quite a few different programs here at the college as coordinator or director. So your particular assignment may have an abstract. So that may be your first tweak that you add to this. Is you add an abstract section in there, so you don't have to think about that. You have that already laid out for you, but this does not include an abstract. All right, so with the running head section on the very first page, you simply are going to type in the name of your paper in all caps and unbolded. So when I have something in all caps, all cap it. When it's every letter cap. When it's bold, bold. Okay, so you get the idea there. In this case, the words running head are actually kept. You keep that on the first page. Okay? All right. Then with the title of your paper, very easy. Again, plug and play right there on the title. It's already centered for you and ready to go. Let's get into the meat of the paper. Now, this one, I have everything laid out in the most common formats used within most papers. Your paper may not, you may have a paper with some exotic things to it. Maybe there's, you're using lists or whatnot, but this is going to fit probably 95% of most people's needs in the basic format and the layout. All of you are going to have an introduction. This right here is the introduction area. Notice when it says name of your paper here, you simply put the name of your paper here and you do the capitalization that's already listed there. Each letter gets capitalized. And then the other nice thing about this template, and I'm always tweaking it up and adding little notes in there to myself, but when you read this paragraph, it's just not a filler paragraph. It actually tells you a little bit about that section and what you need to do for that particular section. So I'm not going to read them all to you, but let's just go ahead and look at this one first. So the heading for the introduction is the name of the paper, centered but not bolded like other APA Level 1 headings. Do not make a heading called introduction. Okay, so you should be calling it, in most cases, you call it the name of the paper. You don't use the word introduction. The purpose of the first section is to restate the questions asked by the instructions and show what the paper is about. in a clearly stated thesis statement. So this tells you right now what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to fill out in this section. That's what you're supposed to put in there. And of course, 12 point, New Roman's font, double space, the indent, all of that already set for you, but I like to state it in there. And then, well, how much should I write here? Well, you know, I'd say write about 5 to 7 sentences. If you're at 4, well, you might be able to do it. You probably, if they're really great sentences, but if you're at 3, you're probably a little bit light. If you got 9, you're probably a little heavy and getting a little wordy. So again, some guidelines in here about how long that particular area should be. All right, so the key point here is make sure you're reading all of these paragraphs. This is going to tell you about a level 1 heading. This will tell you about level 2 headings. This will tell you about the level 3 heading. And this will tell you how to do a conclusion. Okay, so take a read of what those are before you delete them and start typing your own content into there. You probably want to do that a couple times, and after that you'll have it all down and you won't need to read it. You'll just use it as kind of a filler as you then delete it and then fill in your own content. Okay, here's another thing. Now, if you noticed in this paper, as I was just scrolling through there, I give you a level 1 heading, a 2, and a 3, and then we go right into conclusion. Your paper most likely will be longer than that. You will, and this is what I do, and you will most likely need to do this as well, is that this section here, this level 1 through level 3, this is the pattern you typically repeat in some way. Again, I'll explain in just a moment. But you typically repeat this pattern all throughout the paper. So a level 1 heading, that's your big categories that you have in a paper. And you might have 2, 3, 4, who knows, maybe even 5. But you're probably going to have 2 to 3 of these big categories within your paper. All right. You've already, maybe you've written an outline, you got your basic ideas down, you know how you're going to, in general, you're going to tackle this paper. So let's say you've got these 3 major concepts that are within your paper. Well, right there, and I know I'm going to have 3 level 1 headings. I got these 3 big concepts, and then I'm going to go into more details about those concepts in level 2 headings, and then maybe possibly, use some level 3 headings to expand even more. But I know I've got these big categories. All of you are going to have those generally big categories within your paper. Again, 2 to 3. So what I do is I copy this whole section like I've done here. And make sure I've copied it. And then what I do is I just do paste. And let's say I'm doing it 3 times. I'll paste again. And now I've got my fillers. I got my general guides. Now it doesn't mean that I'm obligated to, exactly follow this. But I know I've got these 3 big levels, which we call level 1s. And almost always you're going to have a level 2 in there, okay? Again, read this in here. That's going to build out and support your level 1 area. This area basically introduces the level 1, what you're talking about, and then you start building out details, and then you might need level 3s. I use these occasionally. That's when you need a lot more, you're going into more detail, but I'll write a complete paper and maybe not have any level 3 headings in there. So don't feel like you have to have a level 3, but you're going to have a 1 and you're going to have a 2. And by me having these, that cut and paste, I know I've got it kind of generally laid out for me. So I'm just going to be filling out paragraphs with my wonderful content as I'm writing. Okay. So that's what I do. That gives me a feel of the length of the paper and what I need to do to complete it. And then again, make sure you are reading what these say. Like for the conclusion, summarize the paper by restating the introduction in different words. Remind the reader what you discussed. The last section is called conclusion. Okay, just simply call it conclusion as a level 1 heading. And do not make any new points. And it should be around 5 sentences. There you go. That kind of helps. And then also I've included the reference page at the end and just some very basic examples of some references in there with various, 1, 2, or 3 multiple authors, that kind of stuff. We will have a video on references and citations, a Toolkit video on that, so make sure that you look at that. All right, so there you go. There's a template for you to use. Up to you if you wish to use it. Remember, it's a suggestion. It's a way for you to make the template your own. Start with this if you wish, and hopefully it makes your job, again, a little bit easier so you can work a little bit smarter rather than harder. All right, thanks everyone.